Hey everyone, John with Roadkill Incorporated here. Sorry it's been a while. I was on track doing a video a week for several months, and I had 3 really successful videos, which was awesome. But then I went on some vacations and I got distracted, and now here we are 6 months later. But of course, my New Year's resolution is to release a video every week all 2025, so we'll see how that goes. My channel's doing pretty well even without new videos, but if I'm going to be a true force in the retro universe, then that requires constant feeding of the algorithm, so that is what I must do. Anyway, I'm going to try to loosen up my requirements for content. What I mean by that is, I think I'm sometimes too rigid about what a video needs to be, and the anxiety around this stifles me and keeps things from flowing. But I've come to realize there's crazy stuff going on around here every day. I just need to stop thinking and turn on the stupid camera. So I'm going to try to be more freeform and also do more business related videos, like concepts I've learned related to retro and refurbishing and being successful in business, repair activism stuff, since that's probably the highest value material I have to offer. I mean, anyone can show you how to retrobrite a VIC-20 or show you a bunch of weird computers they found. So with that, here's a bunch of weird computers I found. This video is sort of a highlight reel, the best of what I've bought and sold in the last few months. A bunch of weird laptops, like the title says, but some other stuff too. Anyway, hope you like it. This is an Alienware Aurora mALX 19-inch laptop, and it's easily the biggest laptop I've seen in my life. Look at my hand for comparison. Look at a normal laptop for comparison. I mean, this thing is completely ridiculous. It should really have fold-out legs so it can be used as a table. It has 2 full-size video cards inside in SLI configuration, and when it powers on, it sounds like a jet engine. You can hear the fans now as it just sits here doing nothing. I got this thing for $150 because I didn't really know what it was worth, and miraculously, it may be worth $2,000 to $3,000. We'll see. Unfortunately, it was packed badly and it suffered some damage. The bottom panel is all cracked up and the screen clasps are broken off so it won't lock to the base, but hopefully that doesn't affect value too much. I have to say, it's got one of the dumbest design elements I've ever seen on a laptop. Look at this badge. It sticks out a few millimeters from the back of the screen case. All you have to do to smash the screen is flip the laptop over and let it rest on its own weight. And this thing is 15 pounds. If its own weight doesn't break the screen, certainly stacking something on top it would. Maybe that's why it's rare and valuable, because 90% of the screens got killed by the badge? Seems likely. Here's a really cool one. What we have here is a Thinkpad, a very rare Thinkpad called the 701CS, and it is famous because it has what's known as a butterfly keyboard. What is a butterfly keyboard, you ask? Well, I will show you. Look at that. The keyboard hangs over the left and right side. And I bought this on eBay for about $100. It was from a recycler that was just listing ThinkPads one by one, not really paying attention, and got it for $100, sold as is without a power adapter. I found a power adapter third party for about 20 bucks, bought it, plugged it in, and it does work. Look at this. So this just sold for $920, which really goes to show that you can buy stuff cheap on eBay, confirm that it powers on, and then just resell it. And even then, the collector who bought this was happy to get it at that price, very happy to get a device that he knows powers on instead of something that's dead and that needs repair. So this memory error, supposedly because internal clock battery is dead or missing, and then there you go. Needs a boot disk, and that is the ThinkPad 701CS. Very cool little computer. Close it. You watch the keyboard collapse. Little sticky, but there you go. So what is this? This is an OLPC, one laptop per child, a computer type thing developed to answer the question of what if we figured out how to make a computer that only costs $100. We could, in theory, get one to every child on the planet. Well, it ended up costing $200, so it didn't meet its goal. Plus, it could only run Linux. It has this completely unusable keyboard, no removable media. I mean, it basically fails to do enough useful things that any serious person, including a serious child, would ever even touch this. It is kind of interesting. I mean, it's got an interesting design, some thoughtful features. This turns into an e-reader. But, when this came out, I just remember being frustrated because why would you produce a brand new machine like this when recyclers are scrapping millions of machines like this every year? Fully functional, no compromises, 3, 4, 5, 6 year old computers that can do anything you want to do, being scrapped by the millions. And instead of just realizing that these exist, you're building this out of new materials. And this is completely worthless as far as functionality goes. Really frustrating for me. It was the same during COVID. Remember that period during COVID where we're all like, oh, gee, where are we going to get all of the computers to work from home? And meanwhile, we're scrapping these. Millions of these perfectly good modern computers that we could have been using destroyed. And instead, we're building and buying new ones. It never fails to shock me how ignorant people are of the recycling industry and what we're doing with our electronics. So I recently came across a whole pile of Apple eMate 300s. I think they came from the same classroom. This is the later version, or one of the later versions, of the Newton message taking device. There were a lot of devices in that period, like the Palm Pilot. This was kind of Apple's entry, and it's unique in that it's got a clamshell design and a keyboard, unlike other Newtons. Very strange device. It's not that powerful, but it has a pretty decent battery, and it's just bizarre. It's reminiscent of the later iMac, and it wasn't successful. It got discontinued after only about a year when Steve Jobs came back and cleaned house. He got rid of this along with many other devices and computing products. Yeah, it's not often I see this many of these at once, so just wanted to give you guys a look. This is the Prom Queen. It's an EEPROM programmer for the Commodore VIC-20 computer. It's a very rare and strange item with a strange name. Why would you want to program ROMs for the VIC-20? Well, if you look inside a VIC-20 cartridge, there is a ROM. So you could duplicate this cartridge. You could make your own ROMs for software that you've written yourself. So you just burn it using this here, and then you take that out and you either solder it onto an existing cartridge like that, or you use something like this, which has sockets, and you can put the ROM on there and then test it out in your VIC-20. So we've got the documentation and the software. I will not be trying it just because it looks like a lot of work. I just sold this for $200 actually. Makes me a little sad to see it go, but realistically, I'm not going to be messing with this kind of thing, and it's better off going to someone who could actually use this to duplicate their own software and make cartridges. So next, I will try out these ROMs before I send it to the buyer and see what's on them. This is a Commodore 128D, the desktop version of the Commodore 128 computer. It's a pretty cool machine. The problem with these is that the keyboards always seem to go missing. They seem to come without them, and they're extremely proprietary. They have a 4080 column key, they have a strange connector, so you can't just go connecting any old keyboard to one of these things. And these keyboards seem to go for $200 to $300 on eBay, so it's not really much of an option. So what can you do? Well, you can connect a Commodore 64 keyboard to one of these using this cool little adapter I got on eBay. And yeah, it really works. It doesn't give you the numeric keypad. You're probably missing 2 or 3 other things. But hey, it's a $20, $30 solution to having to go out and buy the real thing. And one cool feature of this little adapter is it's got a 4080 column jumper. So you can jump it into 80 column mode, even though the keyboard doesn't have a 4080 button. So if you've seen my videos, you know that I love the Amiga 2000 as a computer to resell, and that is because it's often filled with cards that are worth way more than the computer itself goes for. And this here may be the best example ever that I've purchased. I paid effectively about $300 for this in a large lot, and it is absolutely filled with stuff, as I'll show you. So, as I mentioned in a previous video, you want to look at the back of the 2000 because you can see what's in it to some extent. If something is in this slot, it's either a flicker fixer, a VGA card that deinterlaces video, or a video toaster, which has several round connectors. That's how you identify that. This obviously has a flicker fixer. And then over here, you see that this is a video card because it's got VGA connectors. If there was a SCSI card, you would see a SCSI connector, that sort of thing. So we'll flip this around now. And I've taken out the drive cage and power supply just to make it easier to see. Obviously, we have the flicker fixer here. I just sold that for $320. Need to ship it out. Here we have a half-length hard card. This is a SCSI controller. A SCSI card, SCSI controller, for those who don't know, it's basically a card that allows an old computer like an Amiga to see a hard drive. It doesn't know how to deal with a hard drive by default. And this is called a hard card because, as you can see, there is a hard drive literally attached to it, which is kind of funny. But if you plug this in and power it on, it boots up to the hard drive. Pretty cool. And you can connect additional hard drives as well. This one came with 2 hard drives attached. So those go for about $100. Not a huge amount of money, but hey. Next, we have a Supra RAM expansion card. Based on what's populated, you can have either 2, 4, or 8 megabytes of RAM, not gigabytes, megabytes. As you can see, this is half populated, so this is 4 megabytes. These go for about $100, so not a ton, but hey, I'll take it. Take this guy out. And next, we have a Picasso 2 card, which is a high-end video card for the Amiga. I actually just sold this for $329, so I need to ship this and I need to ship this out. Strange old video card. How it works is pretty bizarre, actually. So what you do is you connect the output of the flicker fixer to the input of the Picasso, and then the output of the Picasso goes to your monitor, and you get higher resolutions with the Picasso card as a result. It's nothing spectacular like 1024 by 768, but back in the day, that was super amazing. So that's not all. Most Amiga 2000s with these valuable cards would also have an accelerator. So an accelerator would normally plug into this slot here, the CPU slot, and you would see that something is plugged into that slot from the back when you look at a picture on eBay or whatever. So I was a little bit puzzled. Why would they spend so much money on these expensive cards and not accelerate it? This is an accelerator. This is a standard GVP Great Valley Products accelerator, an 030 processor. It would go into that slot, and you would see, the SCSI connector on the back. This is a more typical accelerator for a 2000. But when I removed the drive cage and power supply, I saw this. This is a Derringer 030 accelerator, 68030, and what it does is you unplug your 68000 processor, freeing up the socket. You plug it into the top. It retains that for compatibility with the 030 for faster functions, and then you plug that into the socket. So it exists on the board flat with the drive cage on top of it. So this guy goes for 2 to 300, which is pretty amazing. And then it doesn't even stop there. This has what is called I think it's called a Super Agnes. It gives you 2 megabytes of chip RAM. The 2000 comes with a megabyte of RAM, which is all chip RAM, I believe. And then this gives you an additional megabyte of chip RAM and the Super Agnes that can address it. What chip RAM means is that the custom chipset, the custom chips on an Amiga can access that RAM. You have fast RAM, which only the processor can access. So this gives you the maximum of 2 MB of chip RAM that all of the chips can access. And that's really useful when you have a video toaster, especially. It can really use that chip RAM. So as you can see, this is a pretty great situation. Not only that, but the computer works as well. Usually the battery would be in place and it would have leaked everywhere, and then I would have gotten a black screen when I powered it on. But this computer works really well. Battery's been removed, so I can sell this as a working computer. I'm going to sell the cards separately because most people don't want those cards, but I'm going to sell this as a stock Amiga for $600 to $800. So you can see 6,800 plus 329 plus 320 plus 2 to 300 plus 100 plus 100. That's a lot of money. That's nearly $2,000 for what was essentially a $300 purchase. Not a bad deal. Well, that's all I got for the moment, but remember, every Wednesday I'll be posting a new video, so I'll see you then.